This episode of Bussin with the Boys, is presented by Barstool Sports. Oh, dude, I'm fired up, man. Yeah, you can. You don't have to.
You guys hear me?
Hello.
There it is. He's on this thing.
Yo, this is the marriage that people's wanted to see.
How you guys like my shirt?
That's a good shirt.
I would suck in most of the time because that angle does hit you at an awkward
I
side.
don't have to worry about that.
Now,
2 years ago I did, but now
I feel like you've lost some weight.
He's got the
about 22.
2 years ago,
Old man dropped 22 pounds, man.
2 years ago, I was on a Southwest flight, and you and your wife were going down.
You were going to Vegas for Craig Stevens.
No, it was Craig Stevens was going with his brother. They were going to have us here. I was doing the old line trip.
Yeah, you were okay. Yeah,
it was a weird
I'm
deal.
surprised you even remembered that. Yeah.
No, I was sober for that flight, and then I wasn't sober again until the next flight. I went home.
Yeah, we were going in there. I don't know. I don't remember what time of year it was. My oldest son's coach, he was a defensive coordinator last year at Southern Utah, and they opened against UNLV. So that might have been the trip. It was summer, maybe not.
Couldn't have been that because it was right after our season ended, so it had to be.
Okay.
Late January, maybe.
Yeah, and there's
maybe
reasons.
Going out
there's
hunting,
I don't know. We were probably going back to Montana or something.
Yeah. Cruising.
So what's up? This is cool.
You like the setup?
Yeah. When did you first find out about Bussin? When we were trying to tag you and get your attention?
Three days ago when Barstool reached out.
He actually followed. He either followed Bussin or something a minute back because everybody was trying to flood his mentions to get him on Bussin.
Oh, I love it, dude.
And so he favorited a couple things, and I was like, "Hey, we're stoked" because we would pub it back.
See, the hard part when I found out about it, I wasn't here. I was in Montana, so it's kind of hard to do it. First off, you guys dodged some bullets here, man. Let's go there right now. I watched Governor Lee this morning talk about the devastation here, and I don't know if you guys have had a chance to go out and see it, but it is sad.
Yeah, I drove through Germantown yesterday.
Did you?
That's it. Yeah.
And I mean, Michael Roos, and then a couple properties he owns in Germantown have been hit by the tornado, and it's crazy. I think the casualty is at 25 people now.
Yeah, a few missing.
Yeah, somebody posted a big list of people that they haven't accounted for yet.
Yeah. So it's just so sad. Really and the governor was cool because he was talking about, it's so sad and so devastating and people's lives are going to be changed forever. But you know what? It's people come alive at this time. And, I was even reading stuff about something that's going on with the organization because I remember it brought back memories because in 98 we had one rip through here. And so we got the guys out and did some cleanup. And I'll never forget as a young head coach, seeing your starting franchise quarterback crank up a chainsaw and just get it with a chainsaw was a little unnerving for me, but I trusted that Steve knew how to do it because he's a farm boy, So we got out and did a lot of work in the community, and I'm if the listeners and the fans here are waiting, it's going to happen. You guys, your organization, everybody, even I'm thinking about getting some retired guys together and putting a group. And you can't get in it too soon because everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. And Red Cross is doing this, but this is going to be a year, 2 years before this stuff's rebuilt. But in a month or so, that's when you can really get in and make a difference.
Especially in Nashville. Yeah. We were talking about that yesterday. Yeah. He went on the 3HL.
Yeah, was it 3HL or Midday 180? Shouting out. That's hate shouting out, but you got to do it sometimes.
But I heard his snippet, and then I heard like Jason Fitz with ESPN go on. Yeah. He posted a video, and it's kind of like the city of Nashville just is different when it comes to that stuff.
It is.
It's wild. It's wild how this city definitely picks up and takes care of its own. Yeah. I mean, my wife she's big in the community, and she's big on like just trying to help, whether it's for the homeless people in Nashville or when the hurricane struck Houston. She had a friend of hers that their family was directly affected, and so within 2 weeks they did a charity event for that and raised over $100,000. And it's she has her little band of superhero friends, and they get together. And Chipotle reached out to us.
We got Chipotle. It was like 100 burritos.
Yep. Started going out and giving out burritos and stuff like that. So trying to start the initial help of just doing whatever you can. And when you're put into a position where you have a podcast that's doing well, and in this community since 2014 playing football, like you have that opportunity through the people you've met to kind of exhaust those avenues and get those people back on their feet as soon as possible.
What was cool, kind of give you a little history lesson. When we moved here from Houston, somebody had told me that Vince Gill was doing a concert at Franklin High School, okay, to raise money for the high school
If Vince Gill went to a high school to play a concert.
Right.
That's pretty awesome.
But to do it for nothing, to raise money. And so that was kind of the groundwork for the organization when we moved here from Houston. So that was, everybody was in the community doing all those kind of things. And in my mind, the golf tournaments run their course and everybody's doing them. So that's when we started the softball game. So it'd be really cool to pick it up again.
No doubt. We'll have to have you there if you can come.
I was going to say, you trying to get involved?
Yeah. We'll do it. The last time I batted, I had a walk off, man.
Did you really?
Homer? Walk off. I just kind of tried.
What did you bring the fences in though?
No.
When you're the head coach, you're allowed to do those types of things.
It was a shot.
Yeah.
Sound Stadium.
Yeah.
Well, Sounds wasn't probably built then. When was Sound?
No, it was the old Sound.
Okay,
yeah, the old Sound Stadium. Yeah,
and I refused to bat after that again. I said,
you got to end on that.
Yeah. So it was really fun. But yeah, I mean, it's a great town, and that's what it's all about. There's. People say this all the time. You move into, and I can speak from experience. I coached around a little bit, so I coached on the East Coast, coached in Philadelphia, and then obviously moving here. You move here, and as soon as the moving van pulls up, there's people coming in with cookies and just food and everything you can imagine. All the neighbors are like there to help you.
Yeah,
moving to the East Coast, no disrespect. They sit there and watch you crawl up the driveway with a refrigerator on your back.
Oh, no question. It's a different world.
But over time, they become really, really good friends. So it's just that difference. But this is a cool place, and we'll overcome this again. I mean, we had the floods that dated you guys too.
Was it 7 inches over a weekend or something like that?
Yeah, but
Butch was on here talking about all that.
Okay,
too.
Let me put it in perspective for you. The water in the stadium was up to the wall, top of the wall, to the first row of the seats. In Nissan Stadium.
That up?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I mean it was
to the top of the wall.
To the top of the wall. Yeah.
That's
and
crazy,
the organization and the city did such an amazing job, getting that water down. And we had to close, the area around the facility and everything because of Cumberland. They didn't know it was going to come over, and there's water all over. But things settled down, and we it was business as usual before you knew it.
I think whoever. And I always allude to Butch because I think Butch does such an amazing job for this city, the way he's kind of developed it. I think Nashville does such a great job of transitioning from those things and, like you said, just going right back to business as usual.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I wasn't here when Broadway was, not really the place to be. I mean, from what I've heard from outside, it was kind of like a little prostitute central, a lot of drugs running around there. It wasn't a great space. And then for the city to come in and revamp that whole thing, really this whole city there's not a lot of quote unquote bad areas. This city does a really good job of, making everything nice and approachable, and you can kind of go anywhere and feel comfortable.
All hands on deck all the time.
Hands on deck all the time. And the city's, it's constant, it's growing. Whoever made the highway system's an idiot, but other than that, it
Can't
is.
anticipate.
Yeah. The growth of the city has been unbelievable.
I was 20 minutes to work in Franklin to
20 minutes.
Baptist Sports Park. 20 minutes, boom. Yeah, and less than 6 months ago, I left downtown, tried to get down to Franklin, and took me an hour and a half.
Yeah,
but that's okay. I mean, that's all.
There's cranes everywhere.
The city's growing.
Cranes freaking everywhere. Dude.
Yeah. Well, my son and daughter-in-law they have their own little business. They're flipping houses in East Nashville right now, and they closed on Friday. Was when I was watching all this stuff go down, the other night, and I wasn't thinking about the house, but obviously you worry about the people and everybody there. But I mean, this thing was it was teed up and lined up, and for some reason he got in there yesterday and everything was fine. But everybody has done such an amazing job in the surrounding areas here, whether it's Germantown, even West Nashville, and then 5 Points and East Nashville and Mount Juliet. It's all just growing, and this Mother Nature business is not going to set it back very long. I mean, they'll overcome it.
Oh yeah, because everybody's rallying right now. It's like
business is shut down. Mom and pop business is shut down to go help out.
Yeah.
You turn on 104.5. I listen to them when when something's going on in the city, just to kind of get a vibe of what's going on. And I pop that on, and the whole day, it's all about the tornadoes, all about people going helping other people and stuff like that. I know Buck Rising.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's texting Buck Rising. Shout out Buck Rising. He's for the boys. He's texting, getting in touch with the Chipotle people. We were out running around doing something. You're like trying to communicate with everybody. Butch is calling. Everyone always comes to help. Like when our boy, R.I.P. Matt Neely, when Matt passed away, the entire city and town, when we have a tailgate and rally around him, I mean, everybody's just always helpful around here. It's crazy. And then Barstool, I'm waking up in the morning after, you get woke up by the sirens and the storm kind of passes. You go back to sleep. I wake up in the morning. It's like 5 or 6 a.m. And Barstool, everybody had been reaching out. Hey, we're trying to make shirts at Nashville Strong. Like, let's raise money. How do we help this whole thing? So it's been incredible.
Yeah. If you go to barstoolsports.com or bussinwiththeboys.com, Nashville Strong shirt, all those proceeds will go to helping the people that are directly affected by the tornado.
What do we got here? Water on.
Yeah,
that's it was Adelphi at the time. Now I think it's obviously changed. It's Nissan, but you can see it.
Talk to us about the transition from when you got here. So you're I think the only coach to go through 2 different locations.
Yeah, bring up our notes. We got some notes. We took some good notes.
Houston to Tennessee and then St. Louis to LA.
Yeah, I moved 2 franchises.
Yeah.
I'm the only one to move 2.
That's unbelievable.
So, played in 5 different cities, 2 franchises I worked for, and we played in 5 different cities and 6 different stadiums. So, yeah,
what was it like being at Houston, going through that transition and bringing it here? Because you guys got here and went to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, well, it wasn't it wasn't that easy.
Yeah, no question. But that's what that's what outside looking in people see.
So just my first year as head coach was 95. So we took our Houston Oilers team to Tennessee, to Marysville, right outside of Nashville, to practice against the Washington Redskins in training camp. Heath Schuler was their number 1 pick from University of Tennessee. So it was kind of a cool deal. We're going to go in there and have like people do. We have joint practices and things like that. And during that time, the joint practices, I found out that we were going to make an announcement that we were looking into potentially moving the franchise to Nashville in the state of Tennessee. So that's when I found out. So that was 95. So went back to Houston in 95. And for all intents and purposes, as being lame duck in Houston, because I mean, it's like we were kids in a divorce, okay, and you got to walk the fine line, and you don't want to trash Houston. You can't go over the top on Tennessee because you still need fans in Houston to support you. So anyway, so we went through the 95 season in Houston, we went through the 96 season in Houston, and then finally in 97, the move was imminent. And we moved. But we moved right down the street here to training camp. We had training camp at TSU. And we had no facility. We had nothing other than a place to have camp. So then in 97, we played all our games in Memphis. So imagine this. Imagine waking up in the morning here and having to travel to Memphis for your home games.
You wouldn't go stay in Memphis the night before?
We did. Okay. We went down and we would fly down to Memphis. Okay.
How long is that flight?
For a home game?
15 minutes?
It's just you two. And then the problem, we had a problem that we solved, but the home game's in Memphis and it's 190 miles, whatever. And now what do you want to do? You want to hang out after, it's a home game and with a kid, family and friends and stuff, and drive back? No, you had to come back on the airplane. We couldn't let you drive back because our owner at the time, bless his heart, and I'm forever grateful to him, we figured that if he looked at the manifest and saw that we were going down with a full team and coming back with nobody, then we would end up busing.
Yeah.
And so we had a big tent and everything. So first year in Memphis, that didn't go over very well. The second year we moved back here and we played at Vanderbilt. So our second season was at Vanderbilt.
And it's probably much more comfortable, easier to do
that. It was, it was. And yet we don't have an indoor. We have one practice field out in Bellevue. And, we ended up the year with the last game against Minnesota. They were 14-1 going to the playoffs. We played them without any practice all week because there was an ice storm here. So we didn't even have practice. Season ended. We moved into the new stadium.
Wow.
And then... what better thing for Nashville than moving into that new stadium? We were undefeated at home in the new stadium with the Super Bowl.
That's unbelievable.
We set the bar pretty high.
Set the bar very high. I thought we were going to get it this year.
Growing up in Missouri.
We got
another go around.
I want to hear all about
Growing up in Missouri, lost to the St. Louis Rams.
Really?
Yeah. Obviously Missouri was fired up.
What was it that 95, 96 season when you're inevitably going through that divorce with Houston? What was the attendance like? What was the support like from Houston?
Well, it was the league wanted to make sure that it looked different. It looked okay. So, on you guys read those play-by-plays after the game. It's got the starting lineups and all that. Well, up on the top it has attendance. So right next to your temperature and wind and all that stuff. And it was always in that 30 or 40. But I promise you, there was maybe 10,000, 15,000.
Really?
I'll never forget. We played Steelers there, and Steelers travel obviously very well.
Very well.
Yeah. And it was just one of those deals. I mean, Chris Berman, who's a friend of mine, he'd call us the Tennessee Tuxedos or the Houston whatevers and everything. It was hard, and there was a lot of politics involved. There were lawsuits, and there was lawsuits there. And then, I'll give you an idea. When we got back from Marysville and the announcement was made, we came back and we had our fourth and final preseason game at the Astrodome, and we got out, both teams warmed up, and then I get called over to the side and I'm told that they're canceling the preseason game because the groundskeepers failed to do the conversion. It was a baseball, but so baseball converted from baseball to football. They didn't do the conversion. The field wasn't safe. Neither team could play, and they canceled the preseason game. So here comes another lawsuit. So you got all this business going on in Houston, and then you have to get the votes and approve the move here in Nashville and raise the money and do the private money, the public money, all that stuff. So there's a referendum, and the referendum was NFL yes referendum. So you got two things going on. You got a city that just is mad and and upset, and they're losing their this franchise, a storied franchise, the Love You Blue stuff, and then you have a new city that's like come on, and so finally, thanks to a lot of effort here in Nashville and a lot of the older politicians, the Bredesons and Denny Bordoff, if Denny will hear that I mentioned his name, but these are the guys that were behind really the nuts and bolts behind relocating the franchise. So it was not an easy deal. I mean, I remember I don't know if you guys have crossed paths with Al Del Greco, but he was our kicker at that time, okay? And Al was kicked for us in Houston, and then he moved here with us. Al had deposits in schools in 3 different places for his kids. In Houston, in case we played there, in Birmingham, because that's where he's from, and then here in Nashville in case we moved. He didn't know where we were going to play.
And so what was the transparency with the players? Like you couldn't...
Yeah, and then you got to be a head coach to everybody.
Yeah.
With all this stuff going on.
It's just all, you just tell them, I mean, you tell them the truth and tell them this is what's happening, and hey, look, if you go overboard on, hey, there's no excuses. We can't, we got to go out and play at noon on Sunday. Got to win games. And that, you have to do that. You have to address that. But what we were doing, what Floyd and I and the staff were doing is we're putting a pretty good team together as we were, going through all that mess. When I took over as an interim head coach in '94, Houston was a run and shoot offense. Okay, so that means 4 wides. Every single snap had one tight end on the roster that was a special teams player, had a fullback that was a linebacker, and so I took over with 4 or 5 games left. I changed from the run and shoot to a conventional offense. So with that being said, you understand that roster was built differently than it took time to build the roster. And I took over, 95 was the first year of the salary cap. So we had limitations. The Oilers were top in payroll in 94. And then 95, 94 was the first year. But anyway, we had to reduce our salaries to make the cap by $18 or $20 million. At the time, that was a lot of money. So we had to go through this transition period where we had to build the team right. And so while we're doing all this moving and playing Memphis and Vandy, all that kind of stuff, we're building the team. And obviously put together a pretty good team.
Yeah, so many moving parts.
Yeah.
Going to the Super Bowl and playing against the Rams, who you ended up coaching. What was that Super Bowl like? That was also Music City Miracle. Is that the same year?
Yes.
So let's back up. So
okay.
I'm on top. So
we'll
this is the wild card game.
You help us out.
I'll take you through the ride. Okay.
So take us through the ride.
We opened our season here in the stadium. Okay. We moved into the facility and opened the season at the stadium.
The facility that is there now.
The current facility.
Okay.
Yes. And that was the thing that kept the guys alive, because we were working out of trailers for 2 years. From 95, 96, we were in trailers right down the road in Bellevue, right on the interstate. Okay, that's where our meetings. Sorry?
I said, imagine that happening now.
Oh, no,
guys
I was in there for 2 years.
Yeah.
I was in there for 2 years.
You'd be so mad about
guys,
that.
I had to call freaking Critter Ritter to get out there to remove a family of skunks from underneath the trailers.
Guys getting blasted by skunks trying to catch a bench press.
And oh, by the way, offense, you guys know you're meeting in the locker room, and the defense is going to meet over here in the one room that we had in the trailers, because Bud didn't want to put a partition in the trailer because he knew that it was temporary. So you guys got to sit around and do your meetings in the locker room.
Bud was the king of saving $1, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's great. Again, I'd love him. I just, he gave me the opportunity.
I wish I got the opportunity to meet him.
You would, yeah. And guess what? His daughter's pretty good.
Yeah, she's doing an unbelievable job.
Amazing. Yeah. So, anyway, we get in there, and we finally open the stadium. I'll never forget the moment when I took the guys into the stadium for the first time. It's like, whoa, it's like, this is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
We open against Cincinnati. Jeff Blake is the quarterback. And we were down by 9 with 4 minutes left to go. And fortunately, Jeff Blake had cramped up and couldn't return to the game. I don't know if we'd have won that game, but Steve puts 10 points on the board in 4 minutes, and we beat Cincinnati 36-35, something like that, to win our inaugural game in the stadium. We went on from there, and we were undefeated at home.
And then the place was packed. Was it packed the first game?
Oh, it was packed.
People were all about it.
Just all about it, packed and going nuts. So we pitched an undefeated record at home. And at that time, the Colts won the division. And no, I'm sorry. Correct me. I'm sorry. Jacksonville had won the division. Okay. And we were a wild card, so we had to hosted a wild card game against Buffalo. So that's the Music City Miracle. So that's everybody's first playoff game. I might have had a handful of guys that had playoff experience. If that's being generous. So the first playoff game is a hard thing. So you tell them, hey, look, we'll find a way to win it. The next one's going to get better. The next one's going to get better. But this one is going to be hard just because of the emotions and all that stuff. And sure enough, it was hard. I mean, they kicked the field goal with 16 seconds left, and we were down. And we had been working this play every weekend, every Saturday. We worked the play, like you go through those things in the walkthrough.
Yeah, you got to go through every possible situation.
Every scenario. I was a scenario guy and all that kind of stuff. So
then you're doing the trick play, and you're like, oh,
what are we doing this? We're going to come with asshole players.
Well, here's the thing, you guys. We were talking about Darren Bates. Darren will tell you that on every single Monday, I'll put at least 2, maybe 3 punt fakes in and a field goal fake in. And those guys know that I'm going to call it. Okay. Other places you've been, you'll have your fake and you practice it, and the coach is never going to call it.
Yeah.
But they know I'm going to call it. Right.
Yeah.
So they're always into that stuff and everything. So prior to the year, you guys remember the Stanford Cal game years ago, and the band and the laterals and everybody's
guys running through the band in the field.
All right. Well, what we had our Stanford Cal team, and that was the last play of the game. All right, you're behind. You're going to get the kickoff. How do we get the ball in the end zone? So I would wouldn't include you guys, unfortunately. No disrespect,
right. Well,
but I would get all the athletes. I would get all the athletes.
That's 2 disrespectful comments in less than 10 seconds.
They would go hands team at the Raiders, and then I would come off the field. Hey, white guys, get off the field.
All the white guys
not our play anymore.
White check, you go ahead and stay.
So I had left-handed and right-handed guys, and our deal for years was just to try to keep the ball alive and throw it around and lateral it. And there was no method to the madness, but that was our team.
Backyard football.
Prior to, so right at the start of the 99 season, Alan Lowry, the special teams coach, came to me and goes, hey, I found this play during the summer and da-da-da. I go, this is really cool. We'll put it in, but let's wait till we get down to the roster.
Where did he find the play in the summer?
Texas, like 60s from the Texas.
A copycat
Texas,
league?
Texas A&M, Texas Tech.
In the 60s, though. That's 30,
I know.
Yeah, I know.
So he comes in and we go through it. So we call it a home run throwback. So we worked it every Saturday, and every Saturday we had our team, and we take 11 guys, usually practice squad guys, and they, no helmets, and we kick the ball here or there, wherever. You kick it to anybody. If you're a frontline guy in the kickoff return team, you're the center. We're gonna hit the ball to you. What are you gonna do with it? You got to get it back to Frank. Mm-hmm. Okay, or someone's got to get the ball to Frank. So every weekend, every Saturday, we worked it. So sure as shit, we come down to the end of the Buffalo game, and there's a TV timeout after their field goal, and Alan walks up to me, and we simultaneously go, home run throwback. Go, yeah. So now I'm looking for Derek Mason, okay, because Derek Mason was our deep guy. Yeah. Okay, Derek is out. Okay, Derek has a concussion. He's next week someplace. Okay, so now number 2, I'm looking. Now this is during TV timeout. I'm looking for. He's out. Okay, so our number 2 was Anthony Dorsett Jr. and AD was cramping. You ever in your career you ever been around a teammate that just cramped all the time?
That's him. 100%. I'm a
it's
cramper.
45 degrees out there, and he's
You're just
cramping.
wondering what the fuck. You making us look like a bunch of pussies out here.
No question.
So
I'm such a bitch.
AD's cramping. So Kevin Dyson I'm yelling, Dice, get over here. And Dice is like, yeah, coach. Now, Dice, I love Kevin. And Kevin, when we got him, was a first round pick out of Utah or Utah State or whatever. And he acted like the California kid. It's like, oh, whatever. Okay, yeah. So I'm Kevin. Okay, home run throwback. Yeah, coach. I said, we worked it every Saturday. I didn't pay attention. I said, Kevin, all you need to do.
Well, you had a player tell you,
Coach,
I
didn't pay attention.
He was number 3. He didn't have to pay attention. I just said, so okay, quick. I said, hey, look, whatever happens out there, we're gonna get the ball to Frank. Okay, mm-hmm. And all you do, I want you to stay outside the numbers here. These numbers, okay, 10, 20, 30, and we'll get the ball to you and stay 10 yards behind Frank. Because I got you, coach. So
I don't know what to do, coach. I got you.
He just tells them, I got you.
But everybody else had the play down. Mm-hmm. Okay, everybody knew. Everybody knew what was going on. The only thing that was different was, of all the kicks we worked on every Saturday throughout the season, never worked on that particular kick. It was just a bloop kick to Lorenzo Neal. We would hit him hard here, hit him hard to the center, hit him hard to the tackle, or hit him to the deep guy and whatever. But that little bloop kick was something that we just, for whatever reason, never worked on. Mm-hmm. So the ball is kicked on.
Fuck.
So Lorenzo, So Lowe catches the ball. Well, Lowe's smart. He doesn't want it. He gives it to Frank.
Yeah, Dyson's over there picking flowers.
And Kevin's standing back over here, and you'll see, here's Lowe. He catches the ball. All right, he's going to get rid of it. Oh, my gosh, you hear Frank. You take it. Frank sets it up, sells it, and comes back. Look at that, 10 yards behind the ball, right? Just like we told him?
Yeah.
Now, how about 10
yards? 10 yards.
So right there, I'm yelling, get out of bounds, because field goal ties, and then I look ahead, I go, oh, my gosh, get in the end zone. So see the kid jumping on the left? I don't know if you can back it up, but because that's a funny story.
Hang on. Okay. Talk about this part too.
Okay,
keep going running.
So this is controversial city right here.
What do you think would have been called had there been replay?
Well, there is replay. This game went to review. Oh yeah. Shit. No, the wing official right behind Frank on their sideline is Byron Boston, and Byron Boston points a lateral. So he points to his right, to our right, his left. And I saw that. So I knew it was ruled a lateral on the field. Okay,
which is half the battle. Because it's going to stand.
It
now.
is.
It's probably going to stand.
A lot of gray area.
Yeah. So you have to, so it's ruled a lateral. Now Kevin cleans it. He makes the the play here, and then he goes. So, right about here, I'm looking to my left going, oh my gosh, hey, we got a chance here. Let's, I'm yelling, get out of bounds, Kevin, because field goal gives us a chance. And then I said, oh my gosh, here we go, score. So right here on the left, right on the end zone, jumping in the goal line, right there, that kid right there. Uh-huh. Okay. Now, this is a good story. This kid right there.
Here you go. Okay.
Make sure you put an arrow on him.
I'm gonna now that we've seen that, I'm gonna reference this. But anyway, so the ruling on the field is a lateral. They're going to go to replay. Okay. So, and now as a coach, I'm on the sideline going, okay, this thing's going to stand. They can't overturn it. It's too close. I have to go for 2. Mm-hmm. Okay. Cause this touchdown puts us ahead by 5.
Right.
Okay. I have to go for 2. And I'm thinking, when this is announced, there's no way our offensive group would be able to execute a play.
Right.
Okay. Right. I mean, you're
looking at it
and so I said, what the hell?
What's making you think that?
Sorry?
There's no way they'll
because of the emotions and shit and everything.
Music City Miracle that just happened. You have no chance to win the game in 16 seconds. Everyone thinks, we're fucking done. Well, good year, boys.
So why this is happening, okay, this is cool. Why this is happening, Bud Adams, our owner, is in the elevator going down, okay, because the game was over. My dad was in the bathroom. He came in from California to see the game. He's in the restroom. Okay. There's probably 65, maybe 66,000 people here. To this day, there's maybe 100,000 people that said they were there. Okay? Right? Yeah. And people all over Nashville.
Hell, I was there.
People all over Nashville in the intersections are stopped listening and getting out of their cars and going nuts in intersections all over.
Yeah.
And the whole place is going crazy. So as history would have it, I went for the extra point. It was good. We went freaking crazy on the sideline. We kicked the extra point. Kick the ball off, because in my mind, what are the odds of this happening twice in the same game?
Right.
No way. Well, what people fail to bring up is after we kicked the ball off to Buffalo, they pitched the ball around. They pushed that sucker past midfield and the game ended.
That's unbelievable.
Asshole tight as shit. Like, God damn it, tackle the motherfucker.
That is some stressful stuff.
Okay, we won our first playoff game. Okay, we're going to Indianapolis the next week. So, we had our home in Franklin, and after games, I had a group of buddies that music guys and things like that would always come over. We would crack red wine and grill and stuff, and they called it Celebration Station. So had a bunch of people over after the game.
Bring your favorite left tackle.
You would have been there. Well, remember Mike? You've met Mike Silver.
Yes.
Mike Silver was in to cover the game, and he was in my kitchen after the game. So this little guy there that's jumping up and down, okay, that's my son. He was running Polaroids on the sideline during the season. Now, back then, you didn't have tablets and stuff like that. All you got was like a Polaroid shot of the formation and then another shot of the play beginning. So he's running Polaroids to offense, defense, and special teams. That was his job on the sideline. And he's standing there in the kitchen going, hey, there I am. Look at me. There I am right there. I made TV. I made ESPN. I go, dude, what are you doing in the white?
In the white. Oh, yeah.
You're supposed to be in the. If an official bumped you,
that's a flag.
This is over.
Yeah.
Well, shit doesn't happen.
No.
Kid goes from being so happy about being on TV to being shunned by his father.
Dropped, his mouth
shit on by the whole city.
Tears, and it was like, the whole kitchen was silent. And I went, no, I'm just kidding. It would have been assessed on the kickoff. It would have counted. Yeah. And anyway, that's the story. So it's pretty cool.
That's badass.
Yeah.
So that play today is still, like, when you walk into our facility, when the players walk in, to the left, it's still drawn up.
Oh, yeah.
How it went down and everything.
Yeah, so it's really good. So we called it home run throwback, okay? Everyone in Buffalo, every Buffalo fan since 1999 to present calls it home run throw forward.
Forward,
right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
But, so it was, with all this stuff going on in the league now in the 100 years and everything and all the 100 plays, this was the top. It was number 2 in playoff history to the Immaculate Reception to Franco. Yeah. So anyway, it was cool stuff. So this was, and you can imagine what the locker room was like. And I mean, Tim McGraw, everybody's in the locker room going freaking nuts. And so now we got to go to Indy. So we go to Indy and we got to beat the Colts. And then there was a couple cool stories up there, and we beat the Colts. And we came back from Indy and got off the plane and went through that airport. And you guys have gotten off if you bus or whatever, but we didn't. We came through the terminal and came down. It was thousands of people in the terminal.
Oh, that's
just
sick.
So cool. And now we got to go to Jacksonville. Okay, Jacksonville won our division. Jacksonville, and when I said Jacksonville, you just got a funny look on your face.
Just
I know,
Jacksonville,
it's
right?
okay. I get it. We started it. Okay, so Jacksonville's 14-2. Okay, they had a week off. All right, they just pounded the Miami Dolphins 60-something to nothing or thereabouts
in the divisional
in the first round of the playoffs.
62-7.
Okay, 62-7. Marino's last game. Okay, you guys, this memory check stuff's pretty good. I like it over there.
That's pretty impressive.
All right,
so the boys are on fire on this stuff.
Okay, so now we're going to go to Jacksonville. All right, but here's the stuff behind the scenes. This was the last time that the Super Bowl was 1 week after the championship game. There's not 2 weeks.
So hardly any time.
So we're going down to Jacksonville. And 2 days before we go to play in the championship, AFC championship game, we got to send people to Atlanta, our advanced people to Atlanta, because if we win, we're going to be in Atlanta the next day. It's not like you got a week and all this kind of stuff. It's like you win the game,
go to Atlanta.
So, and I credit the organization because it was the last time and they had done their work and we were prepared. We got a team there. But so anyway, I find out that Jacksonville's crew was in Atlanta, kind of like, you know what, hey, Coach Coughlin wants it like this, so we don't really care how you want it, and so the assumption was they're going to win the game before we've even played the game. And the reason being is they were 14-2. Their only 2 losses came to us. We went down there and beat them, and we beat them at home.
Sounds very familiar.
Yes,
sounds about right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who's gonna, who in their right mind thinks that they're gonna lose 3 games this year all to us? Okay, so
especially coming off 62-7. Ass whooping.
Yes.
Ass whooping.
Yes. And here we are. We've been, we had the emotional game at home. Now we go on the road to Indy. Now we got to go down there. We go down there and we beat them. So,
33-14. I mean, that's an ass whooping.
In Jacksonville in winter, which is like if you play Jacksonville in December.
Yeah.
It's always hard because you're going and you're playing these cold weather games. And you're not used to the heat. And then you go down to Jacksonville and it's like September in Tennessee. Yeah. That's a tough place to play.
Yeah,
it is a hard place to play.
There's so many good stories and underlying things between the rivalry. But so we go down there and beat them. Now we're going to the Super Bowl. This is Sunday late afternoon, and we got to fly back here. We get on buses at the airport, and we bring the buses right. And as we were coming around from the airport to the stadium, it was Adelphi at the time, Nissan Stadium, we could see ourselves, our buses on the Jumbotron pulling in, and we got out. The whole team got out of the buses, and we walked onto the field, and there's 40,000 fans there going nuts because we're going to the Super Bowl.
That's
so we did that, and then we come back to Baptist Sports Park, it was called, and we have a meeting because it's the guys are, this is a post game off the airplane meeting about what you got to do between now and noon tomorrow because we're going to the Super Bowl tomorrow afternoon. Can you imagine how fast the turnaround? So
I left turf.
I left the coaching staff behind, went down with the players, the team, left the coaches to game plan in their offices Monday and Tuesday. They came down Tuesday night, and we started our practice routine on Wednesday, and Atlanta had just suffered an ice storm. So we practiced. We had our Super Bowl practices were at Georgia Tech outside on the AstroTurf, on a frozen
slipping
field.
everywhere
on a frozen field.
So do you even think to yourself, maybe not even practice? What if a guy slips, rolls his ankle?
We had to get our work done, but we had played the Rams once before. We beat the Rams at home during the season, and so there was familiarity. But the issues that we had was we lost our starting free safety in the Jacksonville in the championship game, and then in the game in the Super Bowl itself, we lost Blaine Bishop, who you're familiar with, to injury, and I ended up with third safeties, and it was all those things that happened. But it was a great run. It was a great run,
and still came down to 1 yard.
A yard and a half, dude. That was nuts. The greatest show on turf.
Yeah,
like a Marshall Falk. The Falk route coming out of the backfield.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And we, obviously we were down at halftime and we tried to play their game the first half, and the Super Bowl halftimes feel like 3 hours. And so we got ourselves together and got back to what got us there, which was you guys up front and Eddie. Mm-hmm. We just had to do
Eddie's unbelievable.
Yeah. So we got that going again. And so this is, I guess, guys, your guys, this is the final play right here to Dice.
Mike Jones.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Mike Jones.
He misses that tackle.
I know. I think that was rated like maybe the best tackle in the history of the game. I think there's like some show where they did the top 100 shit.
So that was it. And Eddie's check, and he's releasing on the bottom. Frank ran a seam, and anyway, I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus. But,
we are on the bus.
I didn't watch this game for like 10 years.
Really?
Yeah, I finally watched it because I was had to do something on it.
And who was wide open?
Well, no, you can imagine you got 11 guys in the last play of the Super Bowl, and all 11 have to do the right thing,
right? Mm-hmm. Do your job.
And it just wasn't executed the way we wanted it to. But anyway, we got a yard. I think we executed it properly. We may have walked in. So, and then of course I was asked, would you go
that's a good tackle, dude.
It is a great tackle.
It's a great tackle.
Oh yeah. So and then I was asked, okay,
AJ Brown's
would you?
Hey, AJ Brown AJ never gets tackled by the first guy, and he's a rookie.
Okay, so
I'm not nothing against Tyson.
If you score, you're down one.
He would have got tackled by Mike
If you score, you're down one. The extra point ties it.
Yeah.
And then of course I was asked, what do you do? And would you gone for two and all that? And, the way the
Super Bowl, you got to take the point.
The way the momentum had changed. I mean, Kevin Carter and their whole defense was dead tired. I mean, they were done.
Yeah.
Because we had put that together, 2 freaking amazing drives. There's so many plays on this drive. I mean, if you want to know anything about Steve McNair, who I think about every day, you watch this drive. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really cool. So,
just dicing people up going down the field.
Yeah, running around, shedding people.
Poised,
just
calm,
shedding people, strong, beast. I mean, you said something about Eddie. I mean, Steve and Eddie were they were the dudes, man.
And they were kind of like a yin and yang, right? Eddie was Mr. Always suited and booted, very proper, took care of it.
Yeah.
McNair be walking out, beer gut, hanging out, having a couple beers after the game.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a Ben Roethlisberger type, slinging it.
Steve we could go hours on Steve, but your guys are awesome. So look at this stuff.
That's awesome.
I mean,
how do you not go
down there?
How do you not go down there?
This goes to Dyson. Look at that. I kept the drive alive.
Are there any other plays in the game that you think about besides the execution of that last play that you're like, man, if we would have called this? Like sometimes, like when you mess up, like if I would have just fucking moved this way that I know I should have moved, I would have made that play.
That's a great question. I just think in general terms, I think we got a little derailed in the first half because we're playing the greatest show on turf, and I think offensively we wanted to show that we could throw it around a little bit too,
right?
And we got away from what got us there, and I was pissed at halftime, and I just said, hey, this is how we're going to get back.
You don't seem like this kind of guy, but there is definitely a battle of egos when you go to play another team that's the greatest show on turf, the greatest offense to ever be, type of thing. And like you said, you kind of like,
but in our,
see, hey, we can sling it too. We can do this.
It's football, and your strengths versus their strengths, and how do you get them to do something that they're not good at, and vice versa, and all that. But I just felt like if we have any chance to win this game, particularly because of the injuries that we'd had in the game, in the championship game, we're down to third and fourth safeties. And so I just felt like we need to get this. Eddie will take this game over, and we need to hand it over.
He was a stud.
So, he was unbelievable.
Yeah. So we did, and we got back, and we made it a great game. But yeah, so game's over. I can't find Dick, Coach Vermeil, because of all the stuff.
Yeah,
and so I did have a kind of a little moment with Steve there that I've never, and I won't, so don't ask, but it was he and Steve and I in a moment there on the field, and then I went in, and it's like, I mean, I watch Super Bowls now and are sympathetic two, one team wins and one team loses. And, it's not an easy thing. So in the locker room and the doors are shut and we're kind of putting things in perspective as best you can in an emotional thing. And
not a dry eye in the whole locker room.
It's just that emotion is something that you don't feel. You feel once in a lifetime, maybe. But right. So anyway, we're going through it, and guys start clearing out and everything. And so now it's time for me to do my press conference. So I walk out and get up on the podium, and I see my family and my kids I can see them there with Julie, and my kids are crying because their dad just lost the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So I'm answering questions and things like that. And then immediately to my left, this guy says, "Excuse me, coach." And I'm kind of looking at him, and he goes, "You got to take this call." And this is a bizarre request when you're doing a post-game press conference. Yeah. And I said, what do you mean call? And I looked, and our media relations director goes like that. I go, well, who is it? He goes, it's the vice president. And I go, well, what vice president? And he goes, Vice President Al Gore. He wants to talk to you.
The United States.
And Vice President of what? The whole country, sir.
Yeah. I go, okay. I go, hello, hi, this is Jeff. He goes, Coach, man, what a great game. And because he was a Tennessee guy. And he's going nuts. I go, excuse me, sir, but we lost. Yeah. I know, but it was the best game. I'm so proud of you guys. And what a great inning. I'm going, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So I thought that was really cool. I finished the press conference, go in the locker room. Everybody's kind of working their way out. I got both my boys in there, and I'm showering and changing and getting ready to get my bag. And these guys come in with these freaking earpieces and stuff. And he goes, excuse me, Coach, you need to come with us and you need to take a phone call out here. I go, look, I've already done the phone call thing. And he goes, no, you need to come take this call. I go, well, who's calling now? And he goes, it's the president.
Oh, shit.
And then I go, what president?
Yeah, the president of who? Yeah.
So it's like, what president?
of all of us, sir.
Yeah. So everybody. I said, okay, come on, guys, let's go. And they go, they can't go. I go, no, they're coming. Okay, yeah. And my boys are coming with me. So anyway, it was President Clinton. And the same thing was, what a great game. I watched it from the Oval Office and da-da-da-da-da. And you guys should be so proud. And well, thank you, Mr. President. If you're ever in Washington, come on by, man. Love to have you there and show you around and all this kind of stuff. And
you take them up on that?
No.
You didn't go?
I didn't know. The Rams went.
Well, yeah.
But no.
Hey, he's just there with when the Rams
are here. But you know what? Happened to be the same day. No one fucking told me.
Yeah. But so
he's in the team photo with him.
All these things. Easy.
So, hey, don't piss off our guest.
I know he's gonna cover. So anyway, so the next day we have our party and we blow out there and come on back. And it was. It took a week to just because it was such a blur. It was so fast. Again, it was 1 week.
Right.
We just had no time. And then,
do you think it'd have been differently if you had 2 weeks? So I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry,
I don't know. I don't know if the outcome would have been different. I don't know, but I know the experience would have been different because it was such a rush and the weather was so bad in Atlanta, and all these things were going on. Ray Lewis had his deal. Right then, and so there's a lot of distractions going on, and so we get back. We come back Monday. Tuesday we have this parade. Okay, and it's a parade. Mm-hmm. And it is all the players, and we're buzzing around Nashville and Broadway and everything, and fans just, you can imagine, it was like the draft or it's like a freaking Preds playoff game, but they were just all over the place. So we get through that, and it's all over. We get back to the facility, and I'm sitting in the facility in my office, and Eddie walks in, then sits down. And I go, what are you doing, man? I thought you're on your way to Hawaii. He goes, not going, I can't go. No, I go, Eddie, you're not going to the Pro Bowl? Mm-hmm. And he goes, no, man, I'm just not into it. I don't want to go. I can't go. I go, Eddie, wait. Well, you're voted to the Pro Bowl by your peers, by the fans, by this. You need to go to the Pro Bowl. You need to have a freaking pina colada and practice. You know, I mean, you've never done that in your life. That's where you can do that. You can have a cocktail and go practice and stuff. And he goes, no, man. I go, Eddie, what's up? He goes, I want to start on next year right now. He didn't want to go to the Pro Bowl. But that gives you the mindset of that team. and it was cool. So then we come back the next year and have a better team, and then it was not a good ending to that season. We lost the Ravens, and they didn't get a first down in the second half, and we blocked 2 punts in the game. We had to we come back. The 2000 Titans, I think, were better than the 99 Titans. We had the week off. We had home field 2 out, and we blocked 2 punts in the game. Both of them went as a special teamer. Both of them went sideways out of bounds.
Fuck. And usually when you block one, like the chances
of scoring or what? Boom, out of bounds. Chris Coleman blocked them both. And then I don't think they got a first down second half. And Eddie took his eye off a check down. The ball bounced off his shoulder. Ray Lewis caught it and ran it for a touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
Was the game. Yep. But anyway, it was a really, really, thanks for letting me share. It was a really cool run.
Oh, yeah for sure. Really cool. We had Kittle on the other day, and Taylor asked a question. Would you have rather... What was it? Not make the playoffs?
Would you rather go to the Super Bowl and lose, or not make the playoffs at all?
Emotionally, not like we're gonna have it's gonna set you up for next year.
And he said,
did he kind of dance around the question?
He kind of danced a little bit.
It's too soon to ask that kind of question.
Yeah, well, he played it 4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
it's. I don't know. Going to the Super Bowl is an experience in of its own. Like you said, very few people get to. Like even if you're a guy that's bounced around for 8 years, but you've been to the Super Bowl, like that guy's, he's got something you can learn from.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely an experience. I think it's different for guys. Like, would you rather like go to the divisional round or not go to the playoffs at all? Right. Like for me, it's like, well, it's good because it's good for the community. It's good for the city and stuff like that. And you want to make the playoffs. But a lot of guys would sit there and say, well, you're taking 2 weeks vacation away from me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the pay is not the same.
Emotionally, what would you... Go to the Super Bowl and lose, or not make the playoffs?
Oh no, you go to the Super Bowl and lose.
Yeah, I'm with that.
You have to go. You're when all the dust settles, man, and you've retired in 10 years or whatever after.
That's what you think about.
You get to go.
You got to go play in the Super Bowl.
You think about that run.
That's something they can never take away from you. Is you got to play in the Super Bowl, and then to win a Super Bowl, and then to win. It's like I'm real close with Chris Long, and Chris was, never would have thought he'd go to New England and do it, and then come back and next year and go and win it at Philly and do it,
and beat New England doing it.
Yeah, and he was just But side note is Chris. Most fun he ever had was playing with us at the Rams. But
speaking of having most fun, we've had somebody sitting out in the parking lot the whole time while he's been on here.
Who's that?
DB.
Oh, yeah.
I told him to come crash the pod and come say what's up to Coach.
Yeah, tell him to come by.
Yeah, you want to go back out, bring him to the back, just so we don't.
So there's. I feel like we could have you on for 3 hours. You got stories for it.
Speaking of the ego thing, you were like, "Oh, you don't seem like this type of guy." I have an ego story about Coach Fisher when he was on the Rams.
When he picked 2 overall to Greg Robinson?
No. Oh, we'll talk about that too. But it was the trade with RG. Mm-hmm. And then they came, this was my second year, and I had just like, I was basically like, special teams backup all year. And then I think Perry Riley, or one of our linebackers, got hurt. And at the end of the year, I got to start like 3 games in a row. And one of my starts was against the Rams. And shout out to boy, I had like 15 tackles. I was like so stoked with my dad afterwards. But anyway, he comes out, and the Redskins had traded away like how many picks for RG? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
How many picks was it?
Well, we gave up a number. They gave up a number of picks, 2 ones, 2, and the one next year.
Okay, and he's trying to,
holy shit!
All these picks, right?
That's how we built the Rams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for the Redskins to get RG.
And then they got the benefit.
He trolls the Skins by sending all the picks they traded because RG wasn't working out that year for the Redskins. That was kind of when he was on his outs with the Redskins, and he sends all the picks out to the middle of the field as captains. All the picks that they drafted that year off of RG, they sent them out as captains.
No way.
See, you guys didn't know that until it was over, did you? Because that's what I was told. Because Daniel Snyder and Bruce Allen, none of those guys knew until after.
Yeah, they probably did.
And it was cool. And I take credit for things, and then I give credit where credit is due. And Chris Long came up to me, after or before warm-ups or after warm-ups, and said, "Hey, dude," he goes, "Did you ever think about sending all the guys we got from the RG3 trade out as captains?" I go, "That's a hell of an idea, Don."
Yo, Chris Long said that?
Yeah, Chris brought it up.
Shout out Chris Long.
That's awesome. Yeah. Shouts to Chris.
So I'm going through the locker room, going.
He wasn't out there?
So now I got to go. I got to make a phone.
Said here like 20 minutes ago.
I got to make a phone call, and and I find out who's on the roster and who was still there and active. So I sent the guys out for the coin
That's
toss.
awesome.
But I had to tell a writer after the game. I think did we shut you guys out?
That game? Maybe.
Because
I was stoked to be out there playing. Yeah. I was let's go.
We had back-to-back shutouts when I was in St. Louis.
Search that up. 2015,
we shut the Raiders.
I think
we shut the Raiders out at home in St. Louis, and then we went there and shut.
It might have been like 23-0.
But anyway, I had back-to-back shutouts, which is pretty hard to do.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
But so I did. Yeah, we did that. We sent all the guys out there, and it was fun. I mean, I think Daniel loved it. He loved it. He loves that stuff. So it was just kind of the stuff that we used to do back then. It was kind of cool.
So you briefly mentioned something telling that story, and Rich Rodriguez was my first coach at the University of Michigan when I first got there, and then he got fired, and then the coach that came in was Brady Hoke. And the first year Brady Hoke was there, we went to the Sugar Bowl, and they asked Rich Rodriguez about it, and he said it's like making all the ingredients for a cake, and then you let some other guy put it in the oven.
Right.
And so you said something about putting the Rams together. Does that, when you watch the Rams go on the run they did, not this past year, but the 2 years before that, is there a sense of pride or disappointment that you weren't there or anything like that?
Well, it's a great question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No one ever says thank you. People say good question.
Yeah,
I want you to answer it.
So,
good question. Thank you.
Obviously it's disappointing, but I've been in the league long enough, and I was so fortunate to have been a head coach for 20 years. And at some point, you're going to get fired, and so you roll the dice the longer you're in it. And so, I worked really, really hard to put that roster together, and knew that we were very close, and had just drafted Jared, and I played Jared the last 4 games, not even concerned about. I didn't care about myself. All I wanted to do was make a commitment to the owner, build the team as best I could, and put the right group of players together, and sustain it. Yeah. Okay. You can put players together now for a year, but the challenge is sustaining things. And so I felt like we were building with the trades and this, and then we traded obviously to you guys with John, and got Jared, got Jared, and we were moving the right, and then it didn't happen. So, but I knew what was there, and I knew that they were gonna be really good. So you asked your question. Yeah, I was happy for them. I'm happy for the players and happy for most of the staff. I mean, in this world, you learn about forgiveness and and stuff, but rejection sometimes trumps forgiveness, and so you're gonna be pissed or whatever it is. But I was really happy for the guys, and it didn't surprise me that they got there. The concern I have, and the concern that they should have, is sustaining. I don't think, and I'll say this to whoever's making the decisions there, I don't think they made the right decisions over the last couple of years to sustain. Yeah, and that's, I think you'll see that over the next couple of years.
Well, there's a lot of things you can do to sustain. I think. Yeah. Just my agency, I'm with CA, and they're the best agency. Shout out to CA. They're unbelievable, and they have guys that used to do cap stuff for other teams, with GMs for other teams that now work with them and kind of work with negotiations on the other side. And they say that one thing that the Philadelphia Eagles do really well is they set up guys' contracts to where, like, if your cap's not that great, you can convert into signing bonus, and then that saves you X amount of cap dollars, and the guy makes minimum that year. And so there's a lot of ways around, like the salary cap, to make sure you can sustain those. There is, and 8-9 elite guys you have on the team.
And you have two ways of building your team. One is through the draft, the other is through free agency, and you have to use both. And the draft is, you guys hear this, everybody makes draft mistakes. I mean, yes, we made a mistake. Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay. But those things happen, but you have to have a plan, and you have to be able to look ahead 2 or 3 years. And now things are going to get all kicked out of whack because of a career-ending injury or some kind of problem or something like that, or somebody did. But if you have a plan, by and large, you can plug things in and make adjustments in here and stay competitive. and I see that with John Robinson and you guys. I mean, I was so jacked for you guys. I mean, I came to the Indianapolis game early September. I don't think you were playing, and that was the loss, and that was when we retired Steve and Eddie's jersey, and I just, there was something missing, but I realized what it was, what was missing and what they went to, and I'm not talking about Marcus per se, but I'm talking about just you guys rocking forward a little bit and running the football with the big dude, and which is a question I have is what's he like in the huddle? What is he? What's he like in the huddle?
Derek is stud. He's a complete stud.
Yeah.
Derek is very happy-go-lucky during the week.
Okay.
And he's, especially if he has a good game, you can tell he's got a smile on his face.
Yeah.
But when it comes to games, like we'll have a couple, there's a play-action play that we have that I'm going out to the end, and we're all kind of running to the left, and then we set up so the quarterback can set up. But I have to help the guard at first, and Derek's supposed to have my outside. So if we're ever in a timeout and that play is called, I'm always like, hey, Derek, you make sure. And he's like, listen, I fucking got it. Like he is so locked in, will not smile, has an attitude about him. He'll run the ball for 4. The best way to describe Derek is the last game of the season, there really wasn't a thought of like, let's get the rushing title because there were so many yards to get. But he goes in the first half of the game, he had 63 yards rushing, which is not bad at all. I mean, you double that, you're at 126 yards. That's a good game.
It's good math.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I'm on a roll today.
Yeah.
And we get at halftime, he's fucking pissed. He's like, what can we do better? If you guys just get this block, I swear to God, I'll get through. And he's got that, from what I've heard about Eddie George when he was there, he's got that mentality that he knows he can change a game whenever has the ball in his hands. And he absolutely can.
Yeah.
He's got the breakaway speed, not the first guy can ever tackle him. I'm very impressed with him and how he holds himself in a game. Because he's never too high and too low.
Yeah.
It's always stay right on course and basically, fuck you, you're not going to tackle me.
Right.
And
that's
I love
exactly
that
how he's impressive. That's how Eddie was. I mean, I remember, I got so many memories, but we're inside at 2 minutes and it's 3rd and 7 and we get the first down, we kneel, game's over. And Jacksonville's used our last timeout and here we go. And we're standing on the sideline. I go, hey, look, Eddie and Steve are standing there looking at me. I go, I got options. I mean, you can put it on your hip and get what you can, and get down, keep the thing rolling and we'll punt it away or I can give it to you. He goes, give it to me. And he looks across, he goes 3rd and 7, he goes, I'll get you 10. I go, you good with that? Steve goes, yep, you got 10.
Unbelievable.
That's and so the one thing, I mean, if I got any messages that you could take back to Derek is, man, spend as much time as you can with that big boy 2-7, because Eddie understood what it took in the off season. He got it. He was way ahead of his time. And it was, I mean, he and the great ones do that. The Jerry Rices and all the ones that I've been fortunate to be around understand that as you get older, you have to work harder just to maintain. Not to get better, just to maintain. Now, if you want to get better, then you got to work even harder, and that's how Eddie was. I mean, Eddie had that relentless thing. I'll take you back. We opened our inaugural season in Tennessee was in Memphis against the Oakland Raiders in Memphis, Tennessee, early September, and we won in an overtime game, and Eddie had over 200 yards rushing, and he went and got an IV at end of regulation, came back out, and we pounded them in a 95, 100-degree day in Memphis, and the Raiders wilted because they had just come off a training camp in Napa.
Yeah.
Okay. And we knew that
the weather doesn't match up.
We knew it was in our favor. Okay. So Eddie's got 211 or 220, whatever it is, in Memphis on Sunday. We come back to Bellevue. I'm looking out of my trailer window, and Eddie's running freaking hundreds the day after.
They have a lot of similarities.
And that's the difference. And that's what, and some people need to be told that, and some people figure it out and get it on their figure it out on their own. But that's where if Derek wants to be the guy, that, which he is now. I mean, I'm just, I was a DB in the league. Tackling that dude, that's like freaking bouncing your forehead off a frozen truck bumper.
Yeah.
It's not fun. And that's what you guys build around that. Shit, it's old school, and no one in the division is going to want any of you.
Yeah. I think Derek. I mean, definitely Derek was easily, arguably, the top running back this year. He had the most yards.
Yeah.
I think with running backs, it's always sustaining. How many years can you do that? Because people say all the time, you only have so many carries in you. And one thing I noticed about Derek is he doesn't really get tired.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He genetics or whatever it is, he works his ass off. But he's one of those guys that, if he's not the best, he's pissed off about it. And so he's a great teammate, and he's awesome to be around. He sat in that same chair. He was here. We had him on 4 or 5 weeks ago?
Something like that.
4 or 5 weeks ago, and he was sitting there, and he had a conversation with Eddie when he was a starter, and then he ended up being benched for Dion, and his words, not mine, but did happen. And he said he called Eddie, and he talked to him, and Eddie was straightforward with him and said, "You're not running hard enough. You're not, like, it doesn't seem like you want it," or I'm sure
trying to do
the exact words, trying to do too much, those types of things.
You're trying to be a 200-pound back.
Yeah,
right.
Be what you are and use your strengths.
Yeah.
And then you will go the distance, and he's done that since then. But Eddie's so locked into this community, and he's so locked in with the Titans, because I had a similar situation where he went on radio, and he said, "Well, I don't, something along the lines of, I don't think Taylor is viewed as a leader on the Titans locker room, and nationally, I don't think he's viewed as a leader." And I called him because, if someone's going to say that, I want to know what's your reasoning, because I'm not going to fight a guy over it. I want to know the situation.
Especially Eddie.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah. And so I call him, and I figured he'd get defensive, and, "Well, I didn't say that or this," and he's like, "Yeah, I said that." He said that when he sees me doing certain things, it's not leadership. If I'm trying to do too much during a game, it's not leadership. And I have, as long as I'm affecting the guy to my right and to my left guard and my tight end, that's all you need to do is leadership, and you're not doing that. You came back trying to do too much. And after I had that talk with him, I did exactly what he said. And I'm not saying I've helped the Titans immensely, but it helped me. It helped my game. It helped me with Roger. It helped me with the tight ends doing triple blocks, trade blocks, those types of things. So he's done a great job for the Titans, just on the outside, being able to talk to a few guys, and I appreciate the hell out of him.
He got to sit there, and through the prime of his career, he got to run behind Bruce Matthews,
stud.
Yeah, and Bruce was really quiet, and Bruce wasn't a vocal guy. Bruce was tremendous athlete. He started every position on the offensive line and made the Pro Bowl at every position. He's in the Hall of Fame, all that stuff.
14-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, and Bruce was just quiet about his job, and is competitive. Bruce would stay out after practice or before practice, get out there early and play whatever freaking competitive game it was. It was spinning footballs or whatever it is. He was always competing at something. But those are the guys that Eddie kind of was raised with. Now, Eddie, obviously the Ohio State experience and all that, and everything associated with the difficulties and the hard times that we went through made Eddie George a man, and sooner he always was, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Eddie just got it.
In times of adversity, you have to grow.
And Eddie would, and Eddie was even early on, Eddie get mad and he'd want to talk to the team, and because somebody was late, and he just bitch in the meeting about his teammates, and then the very next team meeting, Eddie was late. So
that sounds that sounds a little bit like myself.
Yeah, he figures it out over time, but man, lead by example is what he was about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was cool.
Can you talk? What were you gonna say?
No, I just said he was, and we ran the football here, and that's people go, really? I go, yeah, okay. I had 2 100-yard backs at Kansas City in the same game. Okay, at Lindell White and Chris Johnson had 100 yards. Each of them had over 100 yards, and we came back the next week here and played Cleveland, and they both again had 100 yards. Except I screwed it up because I got pissed at the head coach because he called the game was out of reach over, and he called a timeout. And then he called another timeout, and they granted him back-to-back timeouts. And I was pissed at the officials. I was pissed at him because the game was over. I said, screw it. I sent goal line in there. And Lowe got knocked for a yard, or Lindell got knocked for a yard loss, and he ended up with 99 yards. Or we would have had back-to-back games where we had 2 100-yard rushers, had it not been for the decision I made to go to just pound it in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, we ran the football. I mean, that's what we were about. And Eddie was really the one that set that ball rolling for us.
There's definitely a place for that in the league still. I mean, as much as people throw the ball around, if you have a dominant run game, it sets up all that passing.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, look at you guys. Look at the Ravens.
Yeah.
The 49ers, who only threw the ball like 8 times in 11. And
NFC Championship
the entire
game, only threw it 8
playoff
times.
run until the Super Bowl. But yeah, that's insane. I remember I would be in the front yard. I was a running back myself back in youth football, and I would always like pretend to be Eddie George.
Would you really?
Yeah, I would, because I was like taller. I tell you all the time, I like peaked in high school. My prime was like youth ball, like just dominated offensively.
Stud.
Yeah, but I would always pretend to be Eddie George.
I don't know how much time we have, but I do want to catch on a couple things.
Hang on, what was like a muddier transition? The Houston to Tennessee or St. Louis to LA? Because I grew up in Missouri, so I heard a lot more. Like, I would always be around more with everybody being pissed off when you guys went to LA.
Everybody was. I mean, it's just anytime you pick up and move, the people that are affected the most are the fan base,
right?
And that's just not fair to fans. So, you gotta handle it as best you can. And as a head coach, I'm not making those decisions. I'm doing what I'm told, and I got to make the most out of a move. Mm-hmm. Now, they're hard. It's hard. And I give the example when San Diego moved to LA, and they had a 2-hour drive. They started off on 4, and Philip was commuting in the car. We moved 3 times on off season. We had no play in LA. When we left St. Louis and went to LA, we moved into a Marriott Residence Inn in Oxnard, and that's where we had our off-season program. Mm-hmm. We lived in a hotel. And then when the off-season program was over, when you're done with your last OTA and you had that summer break, they had no place to train or live. And then they showed up to training camp, 2 hours south at UC Irvine, and then you go, and then you were hoping that your temporary facility trailers again is done so you can have a place to practice. So, all those things are unsettling. Now, especially LA was different than here. I can't say which one was harder. This was different. I mean, I had a player come up to me and go, so we're report to TSU for training camp, and back then they gave them the 800 number and said, hey, call the 800 number, the mover will move your stuff, make sure you're there in time for training camp. Well, where's training camp? Well, it's at TSU. Where's our facility? I don't know yet. So Eddie comes up, he goes, yeah, my SUV got there, but I can't find my Mercedes, and my SUV got there with 9 or 10 or 1,000 miles more on it, and they drove it, and they told me they're shipping it, and they don't know where my car is. Mm-hmm. So you got those little things, they all add up. But the LA thing wasn't easy, just particularly because of all the moving and then the commuting, and then you're on the road. And in that particular year I was there, we played in Detroit, in New England, in New York, in London, at New Orleans. So
everywhere.
And
we traveled all over the place.
We went from we left LA, went to Detroit, went upstairs, lost a close game, went upstairs, had a meal, went downstairs, went to the airport, and flew to London. So those things aren't easy. But
that London trip in general is very hard.
Oh yeah,
very hard to do.
Yeah, it is.
Raiders played in Mexico, at London. We played in New York. Like, they had flown everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you got no choice. Same with Seattle, and so you have to adjust, and obviously there's, I feel like we did a really good job adjusting. I mean, the bottom line is this. I mean, and I think Mike Vrabel is all about that, and he puts himself in your shoes. In every decision that he makes, from 6 o'clock in the morning till whatever time in the evening you leave, he's all about what you do, and how can he help that whole process, and whether it's recovery or whether it's this or that. And so, we did sleep studies and we did all kinds of different things and just innovative things. I mean, my last 2 years there, believe it or not, Monday was recovery day. Our players' day off was Thursday.
Really?
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to do it.
And but Monday's all recovery. Okay. Because if you're covering kicks and you're going to play 30 plays in a game and you're started and you guys hand the ball off 35 times. You played 70 plays. Okay. And the practice squad guy over here didn't play and he hadn't practiced since Friday. Okay. If I throw the three of you guys in on Monday into the weight room and you guys got the same stuff to do, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your needs are different than his needs, and your needs you may just need a massage, period, and fluids, and the Normatec and whatever. That might be your Monday, but by Tuesday, we kind of got everybody back. So Tuesday was kind of a install-based stuff day. Wednesday was good. Thursday's off, man. How'd you like to sleep in? And did anybody ever tell you about my sleep in Thursdays?
No. I think I've heard a couple of times.
Hey, we got a couple stories. You got to tell the Darren Bates. You got to tell the story too with the tubs.
Okay. Yeah.
But you can say it after this Thursdays. You come in late.
No, it happened here, and it was Kevin. We had Kevin Mawai. I had Kevin Mawai at center, and we had a physical stretch, and I just felt like we just needed something different. And so Wednesday after practice, I called a team meeting. Well, you know what happened? That never happens, right?
Yeah.
Wednesday after practice, guys were there going, "Oh shit, who fucked up?
Yeah. Someone got arrested. What's going on?
It's bullshit." And I got up and I just said, "Hey, look," I said, "when you go home, we're going to finish up whatever you're going to do. You watch tape, watch practice, get your work, whatever you're going to do. When you go home, before you go to bed, I said, turn your alarm clocks off, turn your phone off. I want you to sleep in the morning and sleep as long as you can." Now, I said, that's not a pass to go freaking tear the town down tonight, because I'm going to go out, look for you, make sure you're not freaking in wherever, in the bars. But the point is sleep in. Don't take the kids to school. Don't get up early. Don't do anything for mama. You need the rest. And come in around noon. I don't give a shit when you come in, but just try to be in by noon or 12:30. And I saw Kevin in the hall around 10 o'clock, and Kevin goes, "Jeff, that's the best thing that's ever happened to me my whole career, 14 years, was to be able to sleep in on a Thursday in November."
That's pretty awesome.
So sleep in Thursdays took on a whole life of their own.
Right.
And now it's, you know how you guys are after a big win, Sunday afternoon, it's Victory Monday.
Yeah.
Sleep in Thursdays. Yeah.
It motivates you in a weird way to hey, we're going to get this Sleep in Thursday, boys.
You got to get it. So you sit there in the fourth quarter we win this game, you know what it is.
I went to Thursday day off.
Thursday, totally day off.
Yeah. So Monday's recovery. Okay, Tuesday we're going to get your blood going and move around, get your soreness out, and do all that kind of stuff, and install base, half speed practice, just a little bit more than a walkthrough. Wednesday we're going to go, and then Thursday is your day off, and then come back, and Friday's fast Friday.
We never did a sleep in Thursday with Vrabel, but Vrabel does. Towards the end of the season, he does a really good job of knowing where the guys' bodies are at and knowing what it takes now in this league.
Yeah,
because a lot of coaches will play in the 80s, they'll play in the 90s, they'll come and coach like, well, this is what we did.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of advancements in modern science. Like let's take a deep breath.
Yeah. So sleep and diet and just all those things are so important, but just the rest and recovery, but that starts, you should start that. I mean, I always had this philosophy, particularly because I wasn't very good, but I played 5 years in the league. And I remember the calendar year, and I'll ask both of you guys, what day in the calendar year did you feel the absolute best, meaning physically in shape, ready to freaking go? And your answer is probably the day before training camp.
Yeah, I was just going to say, day before camp.
So what happens at training camp? You do this, right?
Right.
Okay. And then you never get it back.
Right.
Training camp should be and then it should be and then and then when the season starts, you're here.
They want to work so hard in August just to fucking take away everything you worked up toward.
Yeah. So you're training during the off season just to get through camp, not to use camp, but just to get through camp. Now it doesn't because back in the day when I played, there were 6 preseason games, and shit, you went to camp, and you were 2-a-days every day. Mm-hmm. Okay, even for Fridays.
Water makes you weak.
Yeah, and hundreds. You run 100. You run hundreds after practice. Head coach tells you get on the goal line. We're running 10 hundreds. Guess what? You went to the goal line. You put your hand down. And you freaking ran 10 hundreds. If someone were to tell you guys that now, you'd sit there, look, and cross your arms and go, really?
Well, you'd have guys too that if you're running hundreds after every practice, guys are thinking in their head halfway through practice, like, I better conserve some energy.
Yeah.
So make sure I get to these hundreds.
Get on the line right now, man.
I want you to grab a couple rookies or grab whoever you want and run on your own. Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Then I want to be able to say, no, you don't need to be running on Friday or whatever it is. Yeah. But that needs to be the mindset. So, when you come in the morning, you park in the parking lot, you run in because you can't wait to get to work. You look forward to getting to work, okay? And then I believe that our job is to make sure that when you're there during the day, especially on the field, that you are mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever it is, ready to practice.
Right.
So that's energy. All the shit. All the shit needs to be. You need to be clear. Right. So if that means that your mom called and she wanted a different color Escalade on Friday, and she wants it now, and that's burdening you, that's a distraction. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want a distraction-free, fun, understand what we got to get done work-wise and get it done. And then, you go to the next day. But so much of that, and then you have to change. You just have to be changed. And just like you said, what Mike did, you got to change. You got to get a feel and have a feel and back down, call this period off, do the shit. And then, while all that's going on, you got to have fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You got to have fun. You got to laugh. You got to just have fun and pranks and whatever.
Because you're around each other literally every day, all day, from end of July all the way to, hopefully early February.
You said pranks. I heard Steve Watterson got you pretty good when you guys came in for preseason. Or was it preseason or November? It was November when you guys...
No, it was preseason. We only came in for a preseason game, yeah. So...
And Steve got you pretty good?
He got back at us.
Okay.
But no, he didn't get us. He didn't get us pretty good. So he
said, the ego.
No. So I know Steve, Steve. Steve, I love Steve to death, big fish story guy. Yeah. So I want to know what's real and what's not. He said he'd get guys all the time. He was the king of pranks in his mind.
Well, in his mind he was, and he also was the target. Okay, we could go on forever about him. But yeah, when we came in for the preseason game, I still had some ties, and somebody got a hold of his car keys, and during the game removed all 4 of his tires,
put them on center blocks,
put them on blocks, and stacked the tires up. So when he went he went out to go home, while we're playing them, and so he got everything going and got his tires back on, and as the buses would come up, he had the guys pull up the thing so our buses couldn't get out, and he yelled at the buses. So that was his version of getting this back.
I think he got it back. That's the center block thing's hilarious.
Now Chris Long. All right, Chris and the DBs in St. Louis would always have.
I heard Chris, and you can correct me in the story because DBs
are
the building. He made a building.
Oh no!
And basically
he made 3 buildings.
Made 3 buildings for the rookies, right?
Yeah, no, they were DBs.
You tell the story.
They were DBs. No, we weren't. It was the last game of the year. I think we were in Seattle. We're coming back. We were going to land late, and it was just right after Christmas, and we weren't in the playoffs. And Chris, the DBs and the D line had been going at it for a while, and so Chris had found a contractor, and he built 3 just one room, 4-sided with a roof buildings, okay, and big enough to put their cars in it. Mm-hmm. So he had them built, he had the cars driven in, and then they pounded the nails, and they completely was four walls around their cars. And then he had, in Christmas lights, he had 21, 22, and maybe 23, the 3 DBs numbers outside on the wall. And so when we pull up, there's a field by the facility. Now keep in mind, and we're coming all the way back from Seattle, get out the plane, it's the last game, and guys are, really, and we get in the bus and we're pulling in, and all of a sudden it started going, and you can see all of the numbers on these 3 buildings. Chris had told guys what he'd done, but the DBs, they go in their lockers, and they're going to drive home, and they can't find their keys, and they're standing in the lobby trying to figure out where their keys are. They haven't even put 2 and 2 together that Their keys are somewhere else, but their cars are in those 3 buildings on the field,
number on it,
on the lock with their number on it. Yeah. So they cabbed home and stuff like that. But yeah, they did stuff like that all the time.
Yo, that's hilarious. That's
awesome.
Fucking legendary.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
It sounds like you maybe want to get back into coaching.
Oh, you never. I'll tell you what I miss. I miss you guys.
I miss you too. I've never met you, but I miss you too.
Yeah, but that's what I miss, is that I miss the relationship with the players and all the fun and all the stuff. And, that and competing in the games and then the anthem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I miss the anthem.
That's awesome.
Can you bring up, we'll have like fan questions and other stuff.
Hold on. Before fan questions, I want to know 2 things.
Tell me what time it is, because I got to catch a flight.
It is
so does Taylor.
12:32.
What time's your flight?
I'm okay. I'm all right. We got about 10 more. Yeah.
Okay. So 2 things happened that we are intertwined about. One was the 2014 draft. There were 2 tackles taken before me. There was Greg Robinson at number 2 with you guys, which I want to know the process, because you actually brought me and Greg Robinson in for the same time to do visits. I remember sitting with you at your office. How was that? What was the deciding factors in those things? And then also, after my second year, they were talking about replacing me with Laremy Tunsil, number 1 overall pick. And you guys ended up trading for the number 1 pick. And so, in a way, you helped me at the end. And I wouldn't rather be in any place in Tennessee. Like, this place is unbelievable.
Right.
But at the end, obviously, when you're going through the draft, you want to be the number 1 tackle. You want to be the number 1 overall pick. Like, all that stuff ended up being the 3rd tackle taken 11th overall. So what were the things you saw in Greg in his game at the time that you didn't see in my game?
Didn't see anything missing from your game. Not at all. Knew that you would be a 10-year vet. You would have a 10-year career and you'd be a Pro Bowler and all that kind of stuff. That's why we brought you in. Oftentimes they're good, they're hard decisions, but they're a good problem to have. Okay, so you were slam dunk. Okay, we felt like, athletic ability wise, when I watched Greg walk on his hands and throw foot and do that kind of stuff, in addition to that, they had a private workout. We'd done the background checks. I had a son on the roster at Auburn that was playing at Auburn. He knew Greg, he liked Greg, and it was just kind of I don't want to say it came down to a flip of a coin, but you couldn't go wrong. It couldn't go wrong, and it was obviously we went wrong, but it's just kind of one of those deals. I mean, I want to, by comparable standards are probably not, it's not a good analogy, but 4 or 5 years ago, my last year there, we traded to number 1 and we decided between Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. Yeah. That was a great problem to have. Yeah. Yeah. And so, it's just one of those things. I mean, I remember our interview. I mean, I remember we got to the combine for a brief moment, and then we had you on the visit in there. And you were with Boudreaux, and you spent a lot of time and hung around. We loved you.
Sat down, single, double, triple, ABC, all those things.
Man, it must be great to go on those visits.
Yeah, it was pretty. Actually, it's pretty awful.
It is.
It's not a fun process.
One beef I have with the league, and that you remember the conversation. How many visits have you had? Oh, it's 14, 15. Yeah, I mean, when are you going to work out? I mean, it's just like, it's just travel.
I came from Detroit. I flew from Arizona to, I think, San Francisco to Detroit, and then to you guys. All in the same day.
When you're wanting to be the number 1 linebacker taken in the draft, and there's like 15 to 20 that go ahead of you, what was it that you saw in them that you probably didn't see in me?
Well, let me see. Who were those that were taken ahead of you?
I have no clue. I guess Manti Te'o was. Yeah. I don't even know anymore.
That's a fun question. We can for another time.
Like, you want to be number 1, but I ended up being number 3 in the first round.
11. I was 11, third tackle.
Third tackle.
It's interesting to get the perspective of coaches.
The other thing, understand the process too, because it all starts with an area scout. So we had an area scout at Michigan, and we had an area scout at Alabama, and they're both grading you guys, and they're different guys. And then you have directors and assistant directors of college scouting that graded you both independently, and so now you've got like 5 different opinions on both guys. Right. Okay. So now after the season's over, now you start to mesh your opinions. Now I'm looking at tape, and then you got someone else that's the O-line coach is looking at tape. And so you end up oftentimes with just too much information. Yeah. And I fundamentally think right now that that there's not enough tape being watched. I think people are sharing and talking and social media grading and not doing the hard hands-on, sit down and watch you play. I watch you play early, watch you play middle, watch you play late, but more specific, I'm going to watch and see who the best defensive end was, because I want to see you pass protect. And then watch games throughout the course of the season. Well, that's how I do, but as a head coach, you can't look at everybody.
Yeah.
And you really can't. So, it's not right. It's not my place to tell the organization in the draft room in the 5th round which guard I'm going to take, because I hadn't seen them.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but you have to trust people that have seen them, and you have to trust that your board's right. And I just think people I'm not saying it's scouts, because scouts are doing the work, but I'm saying people in decision-making positions aren't spending the time to really truly evaluate the players.
What do you think of PFF?
I think I think they do a good job. They got a lot of people doing it, and so I really haven't. I never used any outside sources, or never looked at mock drafts, and never did anything. You just kind of sit there and just tell me what the team's needs are. Okay. Right. And then we'll sit there in the draft room, and based on their needs, okay, well, they could go here, they could go there, but let's make sure our draft board's right.
Yeah. I got you.
So, but
you guys took
crazy process.
You guys took Alec Ogletree the year before me anyway, so it's probably a tough question for you.
I think Marcus.
Alec is a stud.
I think Marcus Mariota.
Alec was great.
He was the Giants, right?
Big money.
Well, we drafted him. They traded him.
Well, you guys paid him big money and then traded him that same year.
I was not involved in that.
Okay, I was going to say, because I remember seeing that. I was like, what? So why the big contract if you're just going to trade him?
Right.
You know
how about this? How about this? So we draft Tree, and he has a pretty good rookie year. He wasn't in shape when he got there, but he finished really strong after that last 3 or 4 games. So you know how the offseason program is. You're gone. Okay. Yeah. So first day of the offseason program starts, and all I want to do is just want to get a weight. I wanted, because really, you leave in January and you come back in April. The guys are all coming in saying, hey, da-da-da-da-da. So we waited everybody when they got in there, and I get a call, and Coach, Tree? I go, yeah, is he all right? He goes, he's like 32 pounds heavier than when he left. And I went, oh my. I go, really? I go, are you sure? Your scale? He goes, are you sure? I'm telling you that. So first meeting. So this is like a half hour later. Yeah. I have told my assistant I said, go to Carl's Jr., go to McDonald's, go to Burger King, go wherever, and just get shit. I want bags. I want the bags, okay? And bring them as fast as you can. And I called down the video. I go, hey, I want a TV up on stage. I want a chair. I want a couple little dumbbells, and I want a table out there. And I don't even care if it's hooked up, but I want a Madden in there. And they go, what are you doing? I said, just do it. I said, and bring me Tree's jersey and a hoodie. And they go, okay. So we have our first meeting, start the off-season program, and everybody's been gone for 3 months, and everybody comes in, everybody's going and freaking nuts.
Stoked to see everybody.
Everybody's just like that. And I come walking around the corner up on stage, and I have a hoodie, I have glasses, I have 52, and I have a pillow underneath the jersey. And I walk up, and in addition to that, I had cookies and chips and shit, food all over the place. And I walked up, and as if nobody was sitting out there, I walked up and walked over, and I popped some chips, and and then I did this, and I act like I was eating this, and then I was going over, and guys start laughing. I'm walking around doing this, and then I sit back and I grab this, and I'm just playing some PlayStation, and you can see I'm just, and so I'm acting like I don't even know they're there, and they're just roaring, freaking laughing, and so I move around, I do this, I walk back, I bring some more food out, sit down, kind of like, oh, it's time to work out, and so I grabbed that 2-pound dumbbell, and I just kind of ate, and I was like getting my workout in, put it down, went to sleep, and then I had one more thing of chips and cookies and shit, and I didn't have a place to put them, and I just put them on the ground, and I don't know what possessed me, but I laid down on top of them and popped the chips like a dog. It just kind of rolled on the food. And I got up and I said, hey, let's have a great off season. And I walked out. So you think he got the message?
Yeah.
He got the message, and it was he still. I mean, I hear he still talks about that to this day. I mean, he just looked. Everybody went down and goes, "How's my weight?" It's like, "Oh shit," and I didn't know we had to weigh in and anyway, it was kind of. I didn't have to say anything to him about gaining weight. Gaining 30 pounds during the 3 months, and it's like I don't even want to know how he did it. I just want him to slowly take it off and get into shape and But yeah, that's kind of how you send your messages nowadays.
Can you tell your Tubbs story? That Tubbs,
he's got to go in.
I know, but this is a phenomenal story.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, it was.
This is
we
one
had
of
a
Darren
slow
Bates'
start.
favorite
Yeah, we had a
stories.
slow start. And we had an early bye, and I don't know. We were 2-4, whatever it was. We had a bye week, and we had just lost a close game, and now we're going into the bye week, and after a loss, and it's just what are they? It's you can imagine you're going to sit there on a Monday after the game and go, oh man, this is not going to be fun. We got bye week, he's going to kill us, and And I think it wasn't. It was later in the bye week. It was right before the end, but before the guys took off, and I filled Tubbs up and had him covered with ice down beer. And I got up there and I just basically told the team that we just got a memo from the league that the season's starting over. And it was just, for some reason, it's a fucked up deal, but the league decided to start the season over, clean slate, everybody starting over. So this is your last week of training camp. You got the weekend off, come back. We're starting freaking undefeated. Let's go win the division. And in the meantime, boys, let's drink some beers. So
start tossing beers.
Toss beers out. That's awesome.
So we started tossing beers out, and shit, they went out and had a great bye weekend and then came back. So yeah, it's just different stuff. So
that's all. What's a good way to get the boys going for sure?
No doubt, dude.
Yeah,
that is the camaraderie, man.
It
is the best. You're not going to get it back.
That's what it's all about.
Well, we had a deal, and this would be the perfect forum. But we went out and practiced against the Cowboys and we were moved the year before we moved to LA. We went out to Oxnard, had the joint practice against the Cowboys. And so basically it was, hey, we're going to practice, and we have 2 practices, and they're padded. And I just kind of preached that, look, I don't like bullshit. We're going to freaking physically play within the rules, kick their ass. This is a great measuring stick for us, but I don't want bullshit. I don't want to fight and all that kind of stuff. Well, Dez was hurt, and he had held out, and he wasn't practicing. And Dez was standing on the sideline, and Dez was just, I didn't know it because I was on the other field with the offense, and Dez had just gotten a little out of control, and nobody really calmed him down. He was just MFing all the DBs.
Yeah.
But he wasn't practicing. He was just standing there. And
just mouthing.
So, I got word on the way back to the hotel that this is not good. So, I made a call and said, hey, look, is there any way you guys could maybe control Dez a little bit? Because it's really inappropriate what he's saying and and his behavior and da-da-da-da-da. And I knew that Dez is hard to keep quiet. I knew there was probably the odds of it happening again. And if it happened again, I knew that the guys would take it in their own hands. And so I did the same thing. I filled the coolers on the bus with beers, knowing that the next day's practice was going to get cut short because of fights.
Yeah, fighting. You always know when that's brewing.
Yeah. So
it's always a second day too. It's always a second day.
And it did. And it was, oh my gosh. But Dez was the recipient of a few. I got a lot more respect for him because that dude could take a hit. No. He could. So, but so anyway, guys were just hooting and hollering, drinking beers all the way back to the hotel and in the training room, and we had whatever. But it's just kind of those things, I mean, if you're in the locker room, and as you should be, and you get a pulse and a sense and a feel, and you have relationships with everybody, what your team.
Absolutely.
You just need to do that, and that's why, it's always, and I don't know how it is other places, but man. I mean, that locker room is a place for everybody. And I'm in that locker room 3 or 4 times a day, just hanging out and just whatever, because I don't want you guys to stop your conversation while I walk by. I want you to feel like I belong there, and all that. So you can't allow those things to become whatever they are, sanctuary, whatever it is. It's 20 years of doing it. You get a feel for it.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, man.
No, you guys are great. No, I want to circle right back around to Nashville and to what you guys have got in store and what you got rolling in your softball game and all that kind of stuff to help these people here, because this is unlike any place I've ever lived. And I'm spending my time between Montana and here. I've got a remodel here. This is my home. My kids are here, and I love this city and love this franchise, and you guys, and just we have a responsibility to do what we can. I know you guys are doing that. So our thoughts, prayers, all those things, and just confidence and patience and trust go out to all those people whose lives will be affected forever by this tragedy.
Absolutely. We're gonna need your help doing it too.
Well,
You're
I'm
a big staple in the city.
We got hey, all hands on deck, dude.
Yeah,
I know Taylor and I are hyped that this platform can finally do something, give it back, and get involved and use our voice and stuff. So it's good luck to you on everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I'm
Appreciate
going
you,
fishing.
man.
See ya.
Yeah.
I love it.